guys, welcome to Comfy Cozy Up. So today I'm doing my wrap up for July, and July was an interesting month for me. You guys know I was going through it. So I'm proud of my 5 books. You know, normally I read more than that, but the thing, 5 books, and of course some of them were chunky, so no complaints. I've read urban fiction, literary fiction, and a historical, and actually I read a crime mystery. So there's some diversity going on here. So let's start out with the urban fiction, which is something I'm not going to talk much about because it is a part 4. It's book 4 in the series, and that is Butterfly by Ashley Antoinette. I talked about this. And I still feel the same way. She is an addiction, this author, where you just want to read the books, but you get frustrated every time because the book drags. There's now confirmed there's 6 books in the series. So this is book 4. I have 2 more to go. Don't know when I'm going to read the other ones in the book, but what I can say is I like the revelation at the end. Finally, it was like, finally. I still like some of the characters, and then some of the characters I still cannot stand. I am still Team Messiah. You know, I can't stand Morgan. So, for those of you who've read this, I mean, we know how we feel. But it continues, and it was a little, to me, like, yeah, it's one of those, like I wish I could just give up on this series because of how the author's dragging this, but at the same time it's like I still want to know how she's going to end it, so I know I'm going to pick the rest up, but it's gonna have to wait because the price on these books are ridiculous. So that's why it took so long to read 4. It's going to be, and then the 5th one is you can only get the physical on our website, which is like obscene for the price. Or you get the ebook. I don't want the ebook because I read them all in physical, and I want them all in physical, so I will be waiting. Then I read the July subscriber pick, and this is The Testament of Mary. It is a biblical. It had me open up the Bible, which I haven't done in so long, for somebody who was raised in a religious home, and you know, you would think I would know. I forgot who the other Mary was. I know, guys, I had to look it up, and I'm like, you know when you just know it's a mama only? So anyway, this is really the author interpretation of what he might think the Mary as the mother, and how she is her thought process in the crucifixion of Christ. So I was very much, it's a sad tale, and it's also like one of those, like, how do you even review this, because it's such a biblical storyline. Well, I say it felt very believable in terms of how he talks about as a mother losing your child, and also being there and cannot even open your mouth because of the fear of something happened to you as well. That part of the story is like, yeah, that's not talked about in Bible. And I think sometimes, because I'm older, there's a lot of questions I feel like I can openly ask in terms of even when I have conversation with my mother, who's very religious. Because I think growing up, these are questions I asked and wondered about, but sometimes never really quite knew how to express what I wanted to ask. Because of the whole idea at times where religion was like, you don't ask certain questions. You like you don't question certain things, which I struggle with still. But nevertheless, I saw why it didn't win the Booker. I would have been shocked if this had won. But the creativity of trying to fit your foot in such a very well-known, powerful story of in the Bible, for the author to do that was creative. So yeah, interesting. I can't even cuss. I really wanted to cuss, but I can't cuss in that book. Sorry guys. So then we talked about this bad boy, Demon Copperhead, and this is a book that is like all the rage. And I think when this video comes out, I'm recording this the day before. So when this video comes out, the Booker Prize should be out the same day. I think the first, right? Not shocked if this comes on the Booker Prize. I will be shocked if it doesn't make the Booker. But I'm looking forward to the Booker because I'm going to read. But I'm kind of happy that if this make it, I'm like, yeah. Because it's a chunky one. And I know, I just have a strong feeling a lot of big books are going to make it on the list this year. It is a homage to David Copperfield by Charles Dickens. And you guys know how much I love this. So when I talked about this, I reviewed this. So I will link it. And I will give you get to know why I'm not jumping out of my, jumping on my skin like everybody else who was just like over the top about this book. What I would say is the writing was absolutely done well. She can write. I thought the writing, the creative way how she changed certain parts of the original and make it a modern tale. But the thing is, what I've noticed in all the homages I've been reading lately, they go dark. It went dark because this follows a young boy who himself became a substance abuser. His mother, who was a substance abuser, died from it. And so there's a lot of how these characters are came from poverty line and how drugs become a part of their life. How they learn to live with the choices that they make, and how they're essentially dealing with the fact that it's a habit. I'm not a big fan of the main character. I do think at the end I started like having a little feel for him, but I didn't enjoy him like I did David. Like David, I was like a really big fan of that character. This, it was just no, and that's why I didn't like think it was the best thing ever. I don't know what it's being compared to as far as other books that's out there that I haven't read, why this would be like the best. And I do find it very interesting that it is a homage, meaning it's not an original tale in terms of she basically changed up what was already been written in David Copperfield and make it more modern. So that's a question mark I have in how books like this would be win those kind of awards, that kind of deal. It's something that I don't know how I feel about. Nevertheless, I still feel like she can write. I do feel like she was creative in how she changed the story to a modern take. I give her that, but it's not the best thing out there. I refuse to believe this is the best thing out there in terms of how people are reacting. And I'm still side-eyeing the people who read this, praised it, and never read the original. How do you even boldly come on this freaking people internet and never read the original? I'm still side-eyeing you. Pick it up. Okay. Then we're going to talk about Miss Queen. So this is the Queen of Exile, and this is Vanessa Riley. Now, I have loved all her historical fiction that focus on women in history from the Caribbean. And this time she chose Maria Louise Christophe, which is the first and only queen of Haiti, who was exiled in 1820 and lived in the various parts of Europe until she died in her early 70s. And this you are following when she just exiled to a few years prior, when everything was happening, how it was happening, the relationship she had with her husband, the king. And I did a reading vlog on this. Please check it out, where I talk more about like its historical content, because this is very much a lot of historical content in this. Like, she did her research to give you a story that you can look it up and find so much of this, because she used newspaper clippings in the story. So throughout the book there are like newspaper clippings that she got and she put through it. So there's a lot of history. So if you're really into like historical fiction that really gives you history, that makes you want to go and do your own research after you finish reading this is the author that would do that to you. And I'm learning so much about Haiti's history, because what she does is she not just focus on the European things that were written, because you know some of them were actually very biased. She also talks about where she do a research on people who have learned the history through generation, who are actually Haitian, who are still living in Haiti, and their history books that are there published through them, that you can actually get more insight because they would know versus a European who were never allowed in that space to even know anything. So there's that. Because of course they talk about her wealth in this. How did she get the wealth? How was she able to live comfortable in spaces that you would not expect someone who is black to be in? But she did it. And I really felt for her in so many different ways of not being able to have the voice, because of though women were very much instrumental in the revolution, that somewhat after a few years they kind of had to step back because the men felt that was no longer their place. So that's an issue too. And it's also a lot of sadness. Like I said, in Haitian history, it's very much powerful, inspirational, but it's also very complicated and very sad, and oftentimes you feel for the people who are constantly having to pay for having to pay for the freedom that they won, and they're still doing that up to this day. So with that, pick this up. You will learn so much more about this woman, and I cannot wait to see what other female that she chooses to surround a beautiful historical fiction around that's from the Caribbean that I was not aware of, because I was not aware of her at all. And then I read an art that I received. The book came out the 25th of July, and it is worth it. Not what I was expecting, but it's called I Did It For You, and this follows a young girl who's, well, she's no longer young. In this story, this is 14 years after the murder of her sister and her sister's boyfriend, and they did prosecute a man for it. They were all teenager. He was a teenager. She was 16 at the time, and she stayed until she was old enough to leave. And 12 years later, she's back because there's another murder that happened with a young woman and a guy, and it's very similar to how her sister passed. She always felt like there was more to the story, that even though the man that confessed and had evidence to prove that he did it, there's something that didn't add up to her. So she was back in town solely for that. Everybody's wondering, because she's been staying away for 12 years. All of a sudden she's back. But she gravitated to people in there that always look after her, who was always there. She also struggled with her parents, who have not recovered from that loss. There's substance abuse. There's quiet silence in the home that you can tell grieving never left that home, that they just still in that moment 14 years ago and never quite got out of. I do like that the author kind of giving you slow by slow clues and hints that I did not pick up on. I had an idea who was involved, but at the same time, there was how she did it where I just was I kind of forgot about that hint that was pointed out. So this is one of those where you do pay attention. She takes, is it she? Yeah, maybe. So she takes this, which is what you expect from a murder mystery. You're going to get that slow and small detail hints here and there. So this did it for me. It is sad when you find out what really stirred all of this, and secrets that were hidden, and surprising who had secrets in this as well. Enjoy it. If you're into like I said, murder mystery, crime thriller, I would say pick this up. Like I said, it just came out, and it was an art that I received from Penguin Random House. So I was here for it. It's definitely give me summer feel too. So I was like, okay, yeah, it's definitely a summer crime mystery kind of book that you can get into. Small town. If you like small town drama, this is it. So that's all the books I've read, guys. And I'm not going to feel any way about it, because I think I did fairly well with these big books. And I am excited to see what the Booker long list is going to be looking like. And yeah, I am going to be doing a video on that next. And what I want to read first from the list, and I'm praying, I really am, that at least I own some of the books or have read some of the books on the list. It's usually about 13, and I'm my fingers crossed on that. So anyway, see you in the next one, guys, and thank you so much for all the support this in July. I know July was just not a good month for me, and I appreciate all the support I got from you guys. And yeah, so see you in the next one, guys. Bye.